Peace, family. Get my microphone. Hold on. Bring the microphone up. All right. Hold on 1 second. Yeah. Peace, family. I'm waiting for the brothers to come in. What's up, Mimi Rika? We got Essential Truth in the house. We got Yvette Snell. We got Janice, Wax Dog. Yeah, today we're gonna have a panel, man. We're gonna discuss fatherhood and how we should be disciplining our children. I sent the links out. I'm waiting for a couple brothers was already on. They left off to come back in, so I'm waiting for the brothers to come back in. Let me resend them. Get these brothers back up in here. Where you at, Taz? Brothers in here. Yeah, we're gonna talk about tonight. We're gonna talk about how we should be disciplining our children. What's the proper protocol for fathers and disciplining their children? How we should be interacting with our women, whether you married. What's the proper protocol for a husband inside the household with his wife and his children? What's the proper protocol for a single father that's raising his children and is still having to deal with the children's mom? Across Black YouTube, you see a lot of pages where we give all our energy to, and all they're doing is accusing each other, beating up on each other, saying the black man ain't shit, the black woman ain't shit, but there's no teaching on the platforms. What type of platforms do we have where black men can come and be vulnerable amongst black men and say, hey, man, my marriage is on the rocks, man, things ain't going rocky, man, I need some help, I need some brothers to talk to? Where is the avenues where brothers can say, man, listen, man, my son is out of control, man. I done did everything that I possibly thought I could do, and it's not working. Do you brothers have any type of ideas? What are we doing? Women have their little safe groups that they have amongst themselves, but as far as for the men, what does the men have? And what's up, Dane? I got my brother Dane Doe in the goddamn house. That's what I'm talking about. What's the I got my brother Richie just come on, Black Ice TV in the house. My shot.
What's good? What's
happening? I got my shot in the house.
So
yeah, and I'm just saying, Richie, like, women they have their little corners that they can come and talk to and lay their hair down and be vulnerable amongst each other. But where are the platforms for men? If George Macon is having problems at his home amongst his wife, and I'm on YouTube all the time, who can I go talk to? Without brothers telling my business or trying to embarrass me or saying all that George is a simp. You see what I'm saying? What's the proper protocol? If I'm out of control at times, or I get fired from my job and I don't know how to go home and tell the family because I'm the main breadwinner. And instead of me telling my family, I'm taking all my anger out inside my household now, but I never was honest with my wife and told her I got fired or I got laid off. Like, all of these things are real things that happen in real time. And when I was growing up, you want to get on, Wax Dog? Send do I got your email, Wax Dog? Hold on. Let me see if I got your email, Wax. Hold on a second. No, put your email in the chat, Wax. Put your email in the chat so you can get on. Yeah, so we're gonna cover some bases, man, because there is no proper instructions for black boys no more. And you listen to a lot of these guys on Black YouTube, man, they sending a lot of these brothers to pure destruction because they're telling brothers that these women ain't shit and go MGTOW, but they're not giving no proper discipline as to how black men should be moving. I don't hear none of it. And I sit and I listen well, man, but there's not proper discipline as to how we're raising boys up as which way they should go. So for me, I'll kick it off. And as I was telling Richie on the phone, and I was telling my brother D Red on the phone, I said, I feel like my 11-year-old son, from the time he was 5 to the time he was 8, I feel like I was verbally and probably physically abusive to him. And the reason why I feel like that is because I was disciplining my son the best way I knew how. I was disciplining my son the same way I was disciplined. Until one day, one of my partners that I really respect, one of my killers, one of my homies, pulled my coattail and said, "Yo, let me holler at you for a minute." And he looked me in my eye and said, "George, what the fuck you doing, man?" He said, "Dog, you out in public, man. You all over the place. Like, man, come on, man. Like, that's your son." But I never, it took somebody that I really respect to check me, but I never had nobody come and check me. Probably people was probably afraid or mind their business because it was my son. But when we out of pocket or we going too far over to the left, who's checking the black man? Who has the heart to check us? What type of brotherhood do we have where we keep each other in line? I'll rest on that. I'll let Richie come in for an intro.
I mean, listen, there's already mere confusion as we've already talked about. Definitely. And when it comes to the disciplining of our kids, as we talked about again, we're products of our environment, we're products of our parents before us, and we're also products of these new age trends that they keep promoting in society, you know, of giving our kids more and more options, which again I believe is a problem. Because there's certain things we do know to be the truth. We do know our pathways to destruction, but for some reason we continually tweak what we should be doing with our kids in this attempt to match up with the times that we live in, which I think is a misnomer sometimes. So I definitely think that's a problem. And I think as black men as well, we're used as the tool of punishment for our kids too often. It's something that happens way too often. We talked about this, especially if you're not in the house with your kids, you know, and you're trying to get on with your baby mother. A lot of the time, you know, the dad is called when the child is doing something wrong too often or not. You're not sharing in none of the positives. So you get into this routine of always being the person that's got heavy talks for your son or for your daughter. And especially if it's a boy, especially for your son, you know, all he does is hear you growling more time. That's a problem that we got to get out of. So that's definitely something we got to start to think about, you know, being more rounded with our kids. But at the same time, this option of giving them this thing of giving them too many options, that's just got to get cut out. You know, we definitely have to stick to our guns more from birth. Yeah, because again, behaviors from child and baby that look cute today suddenly turn into a problem, you know, in a couple of years' time. So we need to analyze these thoughts and patterns and start to really address them.
All right, where you at, Moses? We're gonna go right down the line. That's the intro. Yeah, Moses.
Yes, sir. I came home.
Yeah. So you know, you give us your opening based off of what we're talking about right now.
I mean, so it is one of those major issues that everybody has a personal testament on when it comes to discipline. Black fathers need a space where we can actually come together and kind of check and balance each other. Even in just listening today, I know that I'm gonna get a lot out of it because I am a father. I got a 13-year-old, and he's coming upon that age. He's coming upon that height, coming upon those emotions and attractions to women, coming upon that one and a half friends, and how he interacts with his cousins. And I got to be honest, man. Where we come from, we grew up rough. We grew up where the gangs was outside. We grew up where all the temptations and the pretty ladies walking around in the little shorts when we were kids and doing everything that's based off attraction, doing everything that was based off being cool and being popular. Sometimes I made some bad mistakes. And I got to the point where my dad had to discipline me every once and again. I mean, but I understand discipline, but the forms of discipline are many. The ways of discipline, the outcomes that one would want to see from the discipline, the space of love wasn't always felt when it was the violent form of discipline. And then when it was being cut off or being isolated from certain things, certain privileges that I thought I should have, that didn't feel either. But all of them were to teach me a lesson. I'm old enough to understand it now, but now that I'm a father, how will I be when it comes to discipline? So peace to the chat, peace to the family. Thanks for having me on. I got an interesting perspective that I would like to throw to a little bit later, Brother George, with your permission. You know, I talked to you about it in the back chat, but there's a broader systemic issue that we can look at, that we can really start to break down from that lens as one certain element determining or influencing how we discipline. And that lens is economics. And so we'll get into that a little bit later too.
Yeah, where you at, D Red?
Shit, what it do, baby? Shit, Kool-Aid, man. No, man. What I would say, man, is understanding your son ain't you. You know what I mean? I had an issue, where I was trying to hold my son to a certain standard that I had, meaning I was the all-around athlete. Like I could swim, box, football, basketball, track. Whatever I decided to do, I was gonna be good at it. My son, he was good at football, but that was not. He was only gonna be the best at whatever his passion was. You see what I'm saying? Even if I didn't like some shit, I'd be good at it because it was just natural. But my son was only gonna be good at what he had a passion for. So he liked football, but he wasn't passionate about football. So he was good, but he didn't maximize his potential because he wasn't interested. You see what I'm saying? So, but when it came to basketball, he'd be outside dribbling in the rain. You see what I'm saying? So I'm just understanding that your kid is not you. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to hold your kid to your standard, whether it's a good standard or a bad standard. You see what I'm saying? And so I think if we start there as parents, as fathers, especially fathers dealing with a son, I think that'll be a start. And as far as disciplining them, my son, I discipline my kids according to, you know what I mean? Because I discipline my kids according to what's needed. You see what I'm saying? For as me, I discipline according to what's needed. I guess we can go off into details later, but that's pretty much how I do it. You see what I'm saying? Anybody in my household can get it. My wife can even get it. She in the chat. She get it. I put her over my knee. You know what I'm saying? Because King Kong ain't got nothing on me. You know what I'm saying? But we'll get off into that the next time.
Yeah, it's funny that you said that because I was a good athlete, wrestler, and all that different stuff. Was into all kinds of sports and athletics. And my son, my youngest son, he's born with epilepsy, and he's a little slower than like the average kids. Like he does everything that everybody does, but I was pushing him, and I wanted him to move and be the way that I thought that he should be. And a lot of that turned into anger, where I started to push him, and if he didn't act right, he got in trouble, and all kinds of things. And me and my wife, we would spar and battle with all that, all those different things inside the house, and would turn into arguments. And one day, my son, not too long ago, right? My son came to me one day. Me and my wife got into a big argument inside the house, and it was real loud. She got the slamming doors, and you know how wives get. She got the wilding out. She took it all the way to the other to the extreme. But my son, we got in the car, Richie, and we driving. And my son said, "Dad, can I tell you something?" I said, "What's that, son?" He said, "I don't like when you holler at my mom." I said to myself, I said, "Did you say that? Did you tell that to your mom?" He like, "No, I'm telling you, Dad. I don't like when you argue with my mom." I'm saying to myself in my head, your mother just cussed me out all right ways to Sunday inside the crib. But he was Wax. Thought I sent the link, Wax. Hold on for a second. Yeah, I sent the link, Wax. Yeah, but so it just made me think, like, even inside the household, like, what's the proper protocol as far as inside the house? Because inside the house, like for me, I'm the king of the castle. But what I've learned in the 15 years that I've been with my wife, it's still certain ways that I got to carry myself. My grandbaby's in here. My son is in here. He's watching everything I do. And everything I do, he lets me know that he sees what I do. He tells on me at times. He brings up stuff that he shouldn't bring up, that he see, maybe he shouldn't see. He goes out of his way to let me know that he's seeing me. So if I'm in this house and I'm coming in drunk, or I'm cussing and I'm howling and screaming, or I'm interacting in a way that's unbecoming of that man, I've learned that I got to be careful in the way that I interact because one of my daughters is here, my grandbaby is here, and my son is here. So I'm trying to get from the brothers what is the proper protocol for brothers inside the household as to how we should be handling ourselves. If my wife get out of line, do I got the right to slap the shit out of her? Or you feel what I'm saying? But I'm putting that out there. I'm being real talk. What's and I know that it's wrong, but as far as we having a community or communion amongst men, what are we teaching our boys? What, as fathers, all of us on here, how will we teach our boys to deal with conflict resolutions in the household when the children are there? I rest on that. Come on in, Richie.
That's some shaky ground. Listen, this is what I say. Yeah, I think no one's perfect. We're all gonna have arguments in front of our kids to a certain extent, but obviously there has to be a level. Like you don't need your children seeing you get physical. That's I would say a massive no. If you can definitely avoid that, because that will leave a psychological scar on your child. They will remember that for all time. Yeah, and however you remember it, they're gonna remember it differently. As you said, when your son spoke to you, he saw it from his aspect, and that's where he was fixed. And I think that's the one thing that, again, as men and fathers, we're gonna lose that battle. If you really are going at it with the mother in front of the children, most of the time you are gonna be looked at as the aggressor. And sadly, a lot of women play into that, and they know this, and this is how they, pick up kids and do certain moves around you, put you in certain situations. But I think as men, we have to understand that as the dominant species in the house, and the fact that we can carry our voices a certain way and be a certain aggressive spirit, we have to understand that our kids are watching. And if the one person on the planet that can put you in check is your child. So if you think you're going to get away without having that conversation, or one day your child telling you about all of these arguments that you had, where, as I said, you think you've got it all sewn up, in your perspective of it, they're going to come and smash that reality for you. So, the streets are watching, as the tune says, they're always looking to emulate. And the scariest part isn't even so much the conversation. It's if you see your son acting like that with someone else, that's when it's really going to fuck you up. So it's one thing to have the uncomfortable conversation, but if you suddenly hear your son arguing with someone else with his little self, but in the same aggressive tone, that's an eye opener. Because I've had that before with my oldest son, who's now 16. I've heard him, a few years ago on his phone arguing with someone, and it was a female friend as well, in a way where I had to say to him, bro, what's that about? And, when he told me the subject matter, it was pretty minor, but I knew, and I could see already the mirror image of me in the past when I know I've been arguing with his mum in front of him. He had that same aggressive flare up. So, you can fool yourself all you want, but sooner or later, you're going to see those traits play out with your kids. So you have to take accountability, and it's better you do it now, when they're small and whatever, till, as I said, they're big people, and next minute they're trying to talk to everyone like that. And again, this is the problem when it comes to kids in school most of the time. They're talking to teachers like that because that's how they're hearing it go on in their house. You understand? Straight up and down. So they're just a mirror image of that.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring Taz in because he's just coming in. We had the intro as to we talked about our sons. We talked about our sons and the interaction with our sons. I'll come back to that. I'll stay on this part. Taz, as black men, what is the proper protocol as to the way we should be conducting ourselves inside the home as men? I had a situation where me and my wife got into a big argument, a big dragged out argument, and my wife, she took it up to the 110th level, slamming doors, screaming and hollering. And when me and my son got in the car, my son said, "Dad, I don't like when you holler at my mom." And I'm saying to my son, I said, "Well, did you tell your mom that too?" He said, "No, Dad, I'm telling you." So I thought about that, and I said, "Damn, But I know in years past, I've went off and we've argued and screamed and all these type of things. But now, my grandbaby is in the house. My son is 11. He's getting bigger. He understands things better. My daughter's here. As a man, what is the proper protocol as to how we should be behaving in the house? If our women get out of line, do we got a right to smack them? How we should be moving?
Nah, hell nah. See, I'm I done been locked up for that shit, dog. So I don't think that that's a smart move. Like I done been locked up for it and didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And then I done smacked my girl before one time and I didn't get locked up. She didn't call nobody, but I felt lame as hell. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? And so like being on both sides of that spectrum, it's like I don't believe that that's necessary. You know what I'm saying? Because from those two incidents thereafter, I've just been able to kind of control it with my mannerism. Like if I get out of control, she gonna get out of control. You know what I'm saying? If I'm yelling at her, she gonna yell back. You know what I mean? And so a lot of times now it's best with me to be the calm one. You know what I'm saying? Because we can both go 0 to 100. You know what I'm saying? But my thing to her is always the person who's presenting it may have a right to be mad. So if you mad, I'm not in position to get mad with you. But if I'm mad, you ain't in position to get mad with me. Somebody got to be the calmer entity. So as a man saying that this is my house, that means to keep it intact. At times, I might have to take more of that shit. I might
Right.
have to take more, like you said, like you're the blame and you didn't even go all off. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you have to take that L because this is your shit. If you start falling under, if you start crumbling, if what you can't stand on begins to diminish, the whole structure diminishes. So sometimes you got to hold that L even though you know it ain't yours. But as the guy, as the man, as this is my shit, I hold all L's. You understand what I'm saying? Everything that happens here is mine. Once you become the person that's gonna hold the L, you need to be with a different type nigga. Because everything that happens here, I did it, whether it be a win or an L. I'ma take the L the same way I'ma take it when we move to the next level behind my leadership. And so I just think we have to be smart and move in that mentality where no matter what, we don't let the foundation crumble. So if it means I ain't gonna argue with your ass today, I'm not gonna argue with your ass today. I'll leave a half hour early for work rather than argue with you this morning. You know what I mean? Like I'll have you on the phone when shit calm down. I just think we gotta be that leader for real, and that leader don't always mean shut the fuck up.
Right.
That don't always mean it.
Right. And that's I'm gonna bring Moses in as we go down the line. Moses, you're a married man too. What's the protocol the way you see it, Moses?
Oh man, you're spot on right there, man. The conversations that we think we're having may not be being received in the minds and in the hearts of the children that we're raising. And so that's even a form of discipline too. Discipline is doing a thing repeatedly over and over again with the expected outcome that as we go forward, this will continue to be the result. So I keep giving these warnings. I keep giving this insight. I provide advice. I provide my form of correction through my communication. If I'm raising my voice, it's sending a message. If I'm calm and cool, it's sending a message. If I'm highly stressed, it's sending a message. And all of those messages are the discipline. How will they deal with the stress that they have? How will they deal with high pressure situations? In this sense, we're talking about in the relationships or the power dynamics between husband and wife. It's interesting that I would note, I know we talked about it a little bit, is that I got a strong woman, independent woman, a woman who can get out there and get it. She's a grinder, influential amongst many circles, not just blacks, not just the black community, but she can make things happen and be influential across the board. And because of that, there is that pressure even on me as the man to kind of back up and listen a little bit more. But am I sending a message then? Remember, we're still sending a message, even that when I'm being calm and she's expressing herself, she's giving her opinion, her strategies on things that might not seem to be related, but it's economics. things that might not be related. It's on social dynamics. The education sphere is a complicated mix of where everybody says, well, it's about the parents. And she's somebody who, when she becomes vocal and adamant, she's passionate about helping children reach their next level or their most opportune level or their most desired level. She wants them to understand that. And so she needs somebody to vent to. And when she's venting to me, she needs me not to be the person who raises his voice and has all the solutions. She needs me not to be the person who's trying to cut her off and to allow her to speak, though. She needs me to be to have a certain decorum. How do I correct her then if I'm the person who understands that she's independent? And just follow me if you can. If I'm the person who has to acknowledge that my woman is independent, which goes against the very grain of the type of manhood that my grandfather was and that he taught me to be. My wife shouldn't even be working, first of all, but I have to respect it. My wife shouldn't be in these positions to where her salary is supporting our family, paying some rent. I'm paying rent, but that going Dutch. She's buying dinners, I'm buying groceries and things like. No, the man, from what I was always taught, was supposed to take care of these things. And so now, and I'm gonna get there. It's a roundabout way, but now I'm the one who has to listen. What message does that send my son in how he should interact with women? Like I said, he's 13 and he's getting to that age. He's interested. He has homeboys. How can he interact with them when, many of the homeboys want them to go end game? I just want to go grab me some booties. I just want this female to like me. So what am I trying to say here? When it comes down to things that are blatantly disrespectful, I'm trying to discipline them, or there's something that has been done wrong. I know that my wife still, in the traditional sense, is a protector. She's a nurturer. So even when it comes down to me wanting to discipline my son, there are times when she wants to step up and say, no, don't say that.
Hold that part. We won't go there.
Don't go there just yet. So that's where I was walking to. So I'm going to stop it right there. But long story short, it's in the dynamics of the relationship, understanding the woman that I have. I know that I have to be a bit compromised. But what message is that sending my son? The reverence and respect that Black men should have for Black women wasn't always passed down. My grandfathers did have some toxic behaviors. They would have put them mitts on that woman for cutting them off mid-sentence. And when it comes to discipline my son and just those interactions, I'm trying to be a little bit more conscious to what I'm saying, and not just what I'm saying, but what am I doing in my high stress and high pressure moments.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna save the independent, having an independent wife, and when we discipline our children, with the wives intervening. But I want to come to D Red as to how, because we talked about this on the phone, the interaction inside the household, as far as the husband and compromising with the wife. What's your opinion on that, D Red?
Well, shit. My household, it ain't no democracy. It's a dictatorship. And I am Joseph Stalin. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, the thing is like this, though. No, my wife, and I felt the brother when he was talking about the independent wife. My wife is a nurse by trade. We got a property preservation business. So she make bread. My wife, you know what I'm saying? But, I mean, just thank goodness I don't know how I would take it, you know what I'm saying? So I commend the brother, but I'm blessed on my end. So, but for me, I take what my wife what she said in consideration, but I'm gonna be like, hell no. If I say hell no, it ain't gonna be no. But what if I don't want to hear all that? I already spoke. I'm Dad L. Like Superman was Kal-El, I'm Dad L. You see what I'm saying? and fucking, and if anything, if anybody know anything about the gods, the god El, the El was the head of the Canaanite pantheon. He was the father of all the gods. He didn't intervene in mortal in human affairs. So my wife is Baal, right? People know about the Bible, Baal. My wife is Baal. She handled the house. You see what I'm saying? She do whatever she want to do. However she want to do it, I don't give a shit. But the minute I say yeah or nay to something, that's what it is. There's nothing else to say. There's nothing going to change my mind. It's what it is. So she run the day-to-day affairs, but I'm God. I'm not the king of my castle. I'm the God of my house. You see what I'm saying? And whatever I say, go. You see what I'm saying? So that's how I run my shit, because that's just how I am. You know what I mean? I've always been like that. I'm the oldest of all my brothers and sisters. I'm the oldest cousin. I'm the oldest. So I've always been a tight ship. So I run my ship like I've always run my ship.
Okay, that's I mean, yeah, and that's and see that's why I like when we have it's like the barbershop conversations with men with multiple personalities and as to how we deal with things, and we need to have these type of conversations. But I want to get into I want to get into when we disciplining our children, right, inside the household. Now, for me, when it come to my boys, I mean, man, listen, when I was young growing up, I got fucked up. It wasn't no question. Like I got fucked up. It wasn't no I got fucked up and told why I got fucked up afterwards. I mean, I grew up in that old school shit where they whooped ass and then ask questions later. Or if something happened and nobody said nothing, everybody in the house got fucked up. So yeah, they was breeding snitches. Either somebody say something or I'm beating everybody. So I grew up in that type of shit. Grandma say, go get my switch. And you go get a switch out there and she whip your ass. Or that extension cord shit. I'm talking about that abuse. I mean, that old slavery type beating and shit, where they told you I'm gonna whip you. That just think of that how that shit sound. I'm gonna whip you. I mean, that grandma born 1912, and she got beat. She got beat. She got beat that way, and she trained up and beat you that same way. Go out in the back and get my goddamn switch, and then she whipped your ass. I came from that type shit, and I think that, and then my father wasn't that much of a disciplinarian. My father was a screamer. He just hollered at you. He verbally beat you. But his sister, my auntie, man, you get your breaks on Broadway with her. She fuck you up quick and real bad too, with no fucking remorse and be mean after she do it. So I came from
God damn.
yeah, I came from that type shit. That's what I'm trying to tell you. So what I'm saying all that to say a lot of shit that happened to us when we was growing up, it was abuse. That shit wasn't really, but that was learned behavior passed down generationally that was never dealt with. It was abuse. But when I started to pass that shit on to my children, and me and my wife got a certain way of disciplining, but my boys don't listen to shit she say. So I would have to come in right behind her and say, "Yo, get the fuck, do what she said now," and they look at me. But a lot of times when I find myself disciplining them, I got to argue with her too, because a lot of black women don't understand black male discipline. Our discipline is different. It sounds different. It's more aggressive, and we don't have a lot of black male discipline in our communities at
But
all.
but see, that's the thing. That's because like with our daughter, I let her handle that. Like you see what I'm saying? I reinforce it with if she say I'm gonna ground her ass and she's not going over she's whatever. I say all right, and of course she'll try to come to me and be like, oh yeah, what your mama say? Well, I'm ground. Okay, well shit, your ass grounded then. Don't come talk to me. You see what I'm saying? But she already know when it comes to the boys, don't say nothing. I got this. I don't say nothing. I don't intervene on your territory. Don't intervene on my territory. This is my territory. I will fuck my son up. Depending on what he do. You know what I'm saying? Of course, depending on what he do, but they know not to talk back to their mama. They know not to do no dumb shit. I mean, for the most part, our boys, our our daughter is more of a mouthpiece than the boys. The boys are both kind of laid back on some Snoop Dogg type shit. Them niggas, you swear down, them niggas was high. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, and
But
what I'm trying to lay out is a lot of times inside the households, the mom being a nurturer, she can jump on them, she can jump on your son all day, but when you just jump on him, she'll say, "Oh, baby, why you have to say it like that?" Or if you're in there and you really jump on him, she say, "All right, baby, that's enough." And I got a thing, I got to say it, and I'm gonna pass the mic. I got a saying that I say to my wife all the time. Excuse me, is that my son? She said, "Why you always ask me?" I said, "No, I'm asking you a question. Is that my son?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Do he have my last name?" I said, "See, you know for a fact that that's my son. So I'm asking you, is that my son?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Does he has my last name?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, let me be his father then and get out the way when I'm disciplining." But I got to say this to her a lot, because when I'm disciplining him, she jumps in. So I pass the mic. We can go down the line. We start off with Taz, and then we go to Richie. Yeah, you there, Taz? We come to Richie and we come back to Taz.
Um, boy, I mean, I had the same arguments with my baby mothers, especially my first baby mother, with my two sons. I go to discipline them, as you said. They jump in, they want to soothe, or you both need both facets of the place in place. So for me, when she passed, and now it's just me with my boys, I have to constantly remind myself to keep the balance, that regardless of the fact that when they do something wrong, obviously I have to deal with them accordingly. And there's certain things as young boys they're around that are life threatening. So I have to be very harsh. But because of my particular situation, I have to maintain that balance of, after I've growled and done whatever, or even given them a slap if necessary, I have to at some point afterwards go and talk to them and re-explain everything that's happened. And even now, even when it comes to giving them a slap or whatever, I have to make sure it's done at a certain level. If I'm too mad, I have to walk away. I have to leave it, because there isn't anyone else to pick up the slack in my situation or to come with a nice word. And the onus is on me. I have to make sure that I'm at a certain level before I can deal with them, if it's that bad. But most of the time, as I said, whatever the immediate punishment is or words are said, I have to make sure it's followed up by me carefully explaining why I'm saying it, and follow it up with me telling them that I love them. And that's where it's coming from, out of love. Because again, someone was talking about critical thinking. This is what kids are lacking. And I think sometimes if you just jump on them all the time without explaining certain things, it's just not going to work out. They'll remember all of the punishments, but they'll never remember the rules. They'll never remember the reasons why you did it. And that's why, again, for me, it's important to not be too mad. And I've got a temper, so it's been something I've had to control. And obviously, their mum going suddenly, I had to deal with that. So there was an extra level of sensitivity that I had to learn to have and maintain. So it's definitely a hard one, but it highlighted even more so the balance that's needed, and that we mostly take for granted when we're in a normal relationship, and the mum's there. We can just do our thing and not really give it a second thought. But again, in these situations, it drives the point home, the difference between your frequency as a man and that woman frequency that comes afterwards. So, you definitely have to observe it if you've got it around you, and take notes from it. Because as I said, sometimes as a man, you don't want to be always caught in the situation where you're always the voice of discipline and you never get to say anything positive or just talk to your child in a way where you can tell them certain principles, tell them certain life lessons, but it doesn't have to come out of a place of them doing something wrong. It can just be a preemptive conversation. I think as men, we miss out on that a lot. And I've had to get into that zone, even more so, as I said, just based on my situation. But I really think that's something us as men need to really focus on a lot more. Speaking before the madness happens. So again, we can clearly talk to our sons, our daughters, in a way where they can get the message without it necessarily being through gritted teeth when they've done some fuckery and we're trying to fucking go mad on them, and you know what I'm saying, and we're half worried and all this kind of behavior as parents do. I think that's the one thing we need to change. Where I think us old school heads, as George was saying, we're from an era where you kind of just got these hardcore licks or reactionary boxes in the mouth, and that was you. You know what I'm saying? There wasn't no explanation. You knew what it was from there. Whereas today, I do believe that's one of the things we should kind of tweak. Where as much as I do believe we need to stay on our kids and punish them properly when they step out of line, and there should be clear lines, at the same time, there always has to be a follow-up conversation where you explain your position and you let them know what you're doing and why you're enforcing these rules, because they need to know that.
You there, Taz?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
I'm here, bro.
Yeah. Oh, Taz in there blowing some trees.
That's it.
He in there blowing on some kush. That's what that
You
was.
already know.
What's your opinion as
You
far
already know, man.
yeah, what's your opinion as far as when you in the crib and you disciplining your son and the wife intervenes all the time? Like, you know, you jump on your son and then you end up having to battle with your wife a lot because they don't. A lot of times, our women don't understand male discipline. They want you to discipline the boys the way that they discipline them. And I tell my wife, my voice ain't like yours. When I jump on him the way you jump on him, gonna be totally different. And we find a lot of times battling our women. What do you think about that?
Okay, so yeah, I guess I got a double dynamic here because my son is not the son of my woman now. You know what I'm saying? That ain't, you know what I
Right,
mean? That's my baby mom's son. You know what I'm saying?
right.
We got a son. You know what I'm saying? That dynamic, it actually works now. In the beginning, it wasn't like that. Told everything and whatnot, and it was always what you saying to my son, and watch how you treat him, and that type of shit in the beginning. But as he's gotten older and started pushing back against her, she gave him to me. So when I got him and he came here with me, it was like, you know,
My
keep
rules.
in mind, he ain't nothing yeah, he ain't nothing like I was. And so, you know what I'm saying? Like, opens was needed. I'm not really on that side of, passed down from slavery. I'm on the opposite end. Like, nigga, my mom couldn't handle me, nigga. That was what she thought was best, nigga. Like, you know what I'm saying? And I was accelerating. No matter, like, she tried to ground me, she tried to have me write sentences like Nick flying. She did what she had to do. But having said that, my son ain't nothing like I was.
Okay.
He's a straight A student. He plays football. He goes to practice. He doesn't skip school. He doesn't steal. You know what I'm saying? So, the way I look at the little shit, because that's what it is to me, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? He didn't take it. I'll take it out then. I'm not about to yell about that shit today. Some days it just ain't worth it. Like, he's a bad enough child for me to lay the gauntlet down. I whooped my son one time. He was 6 years old in the closet striking matches. And that sulfur shit floats around the house, and so you smell
Right.
it.
Smelled it.
And before I knew it, I jumped up and ran in there like, nigga, you ain't here playing with matches? He's like, no. And I whooped his motherfucking ass, right? It was just me and him in the house. So, you know what I'm saying? From there, he's never tried me. You know what I'm saying? Like, and keep in mind, he's 6, so I ain't saying he never will. But from there, he's never actually tried. I felt like it was time to put him in his place, so to speak. So I don't really have a story for that dynamic, honestly. You know what I'm saying? I'd be lying if I sat here and tried to say even his stepmom or his mom has tried to intervene on some shit where I was like, nigga, I gotta handle something with him. I would be lying if I tried to tell a story like that, because for the most part, they know what time it is. They better not say shit to me about shit I got to say to him. But
Right.
like I'm saying, it's never been that situation yet for me to put what you own though. You know what I'm saying? I ain't had that moment yet.
But you 6'7", 250. So he probably sizing you up anyway. I ain't fucking with my pop. if my pop was 6'7", 250, I'd
Yeah, but
fight the
see,
straight age too.
yeah, but see, that's a dynamic too, because I don't, you know what I'm saying, I don't bully my son, but I always have let it be known, like, nigga, don't try it. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna bully the nigga, but like, dog, like, nigga, you ain't about to be out here like them. So, we're not at home. When he moved with me, we ain't at the hometown. We ain't at the crib, nigga. You ain't got no friends. I'm your friend. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, that's him as a person. Like, I didn't want him to be here looking to other people to be, you know what I'm saying, some type of leadership or fall in, nigga, I'm your crowd. What we doing today? Where we going? What you want to do? You know
Right.
what I'm saying? And so
I'm the same
that's
way.
what
I'm the
for
same
me,
way.
man, is to just be the same. Yeah. So that's all I got, bro.
All right. Let's move down the line. Where we at? We have
I think
Mo.
we had two joined, brother George. Looked like Twin Man and who is that? Wax Dog.
Well, I sent Westar the link. He said he wasn't getting them. I don't know how. I don't know. We got Brother Rob and we got Twin Man. But I'm gonna come to you, and then we'll come to. I'm coming to you and D Red, and then we'll come to them.
Yeah, so I'm gonna be quick on this one because I was long-winded on the other one. Yeah, I had to whip my son ass probably like twice in his life. He's 13 years old, and I can't even remember what it was myself, so I know he didn't remember it. So how necessary was the violence in the first place? The action that he probably took was probably something that a little boy was gonna do, probably grabbing some girl, and so it, you had to do something because families is getting involved and or something like that. But on the other end, wife was probably in support of those things because we were still a young couple. But as we've gotten a little bit older, we started to realize that discipline happens mostly in our experience. They're watching and observing. So discipline is mostly on when you're doing good. That's the hard part, Brother George. When we have brothers like ourselves who are finally in a space to where we can do a little bit of good every day, or every day is normal. We're not living out a dysfunctional life like we used to. So what they're actually emulating or what they're learning from is how do I behave when things are calm? Because being a young boy, he wants to be a little bit destructive, or he might have that tendency. This kid makes straight A's, 95 percentile in math, 95 percentile in science and English, just trying to figure out which direction he wants to go in. He's a gamer, so he likes that high-tech stuff. So when it comes to ass whoopings, what am I going to whoop? I think I had to talk to him harsh one day because they be on them games and they got the headsets on, and so they said something. I was like, damn, and it struck me. I think I even told you about it the first time I heard my son say nigga over the headset, and it shocked me because he's a smart and decent good kid, and I had just never heard those words fall out of his lips. So how do you discipline when it's those are the things that you're disciplining them for, rather than going outside and busting people in the head, stealing bikes, breaking windows, running from the police, doing all the things that I may have experienced, I will neither confirm nor deny. So yeah, just a long story short, wrap it up. Right now, it's that we're dealing with those good times, or we're dealing with those times when it's not dysfunction, and this is what they're learning from. So what are they learning from when we're just at a high stress? What are they learning from when we're just at a point of disagreements? And I think even on this panel, you show that even when it's brother to brother, I don't get along with some of my brothers, but when it's brother to brother, and we have disagreements, how do we disagree respectfully? And I think that's the discipline that we want them to have, is that they can still grow up with a sense of love and respect one to another.
Well, I already know D Red said he's Joseph Stalin in the house. So I don't even know. Hey, D Red, you want to touch this part?
I mean, yeah, man. Shit. I mean, like I said, for the most part, our boys good. We got good, our sons they good. So I don't really have that problem. My son ain't, like I said, my son ain't nothing like me. The oldest one ain't nothing like me. The youngest boy, he ain't nothing like me. They good. They go to school. They do what they supposed to do. But I mean, they supposed to because I coach little league. I'm there. I coach little league. I do what I do. They see what I do in the hood. We live in the same. We live in the hood, so they hear the stories. I mean, my son he hear the stories, so I don't have to say too much. They tell him, man, your daddy was something. Your daddy was. He be kind of looking at me like, you was really. I was like, yeah, I was really, you know what I'm saying? Dang, Pop, you was like that. So at a certain age, 'cause my oldest, he's 16, so he hear the stories. He play basketball. He move around, so he heard the stories. So I don't really have to do nothing. You know what I'm saying? I think that's a blessing. Like I said, my daughter, she mowed Munchkin. She mowed what? She mowed feisty than the boys. The boys are laid back because they know. I ain't gonna say they know that I tap that ass up, but they know. No, I ain't gonna even say that. They just good. So I mean, I had to give them their props. It's on them because they just good kids. So I really don't have a whole lot to do with them. You see what I'm saying? Now my oldest, I fucked him up one time. I gave him up one time. You know what I'm saying? And after that, I ain't had to do nothing to him since. The youngest boy, I ain't never had to do nothing to him at all. But tell him I'm disappointed in you, and that would hurt him. Like damn, like that would fuck his whole day up. So I got good kids. You see what I'm saying? So I really don't have to do a whole lot. You see what I'm saying? I mean, they kids, so they'll get out of line. You have to just say, hey man, what the fuck is you doing? Oh man, you right. My bad. I'm sorry. That type of shit. Other than that, I don't really have a whole lot to do. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So I don't really have a whole lot to contribute to that.
We got brother Rob and we got Twin Man. I come to Rob because I know Rob is a married man too. And brother Rob, we talked about disciplining our children. We talked about disciplining our boys. We're going to get to our daughters in a minute, but we talked about disciplining our boys. We talked about dealing with conflict resolution in the house as black men when you're arguing with your wife and the children are there. what's the proper protocols, black men, is how we should be behaving. Now we're talking about children. When you're disciplining your sons and your wife always intervene, you find yourself having to deal with your wife and your son at the same time, because a lot of black women, a lot of our wives don't understand black male discipline, because black male discipline is not like black women discipline. It's totally different. What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, before I give my opinion, man, peace to the brethren that's on the panel right now, and man, thank you for having me. Um, I'm also a disciplinarian professionally. You know what I'm saying? I'm the dean at the school that I work at. So for me, I had to learn two different forms of discipline. I wasn't always in education. And like D Red, I didn't have a lot of problems with my boys, but to give men credit who don't have a lot of problem with boys, and this is my motto, you know what I'm saying? It's the you have to model the behavior that you expect for those kids to have. You know what I mean? And so, man, when my wifey, what I'm saying, the protocol at my crib, hey, nobody in the crib is raising their voice but me. You know what I'm saying? Like, should nobody be yelling? You know what I'm saying? And if I'm yelling with a purpose. I ain't just in there like, hey, what the fuck is going on? I ain't on that. I'm like, man, I don't care who day it is to wash the dishes. Hey, these motherfuckers better get washed in the next 30 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I just talk like that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm the only one, you know what I'm
Fact.
saying, to raise my voice. So whenever I'm interacting with my wife, again, I'm modeling the behavior that I want my sons to have with women, right? My wife get upset, she get to screaming and hollering. Hey, this is what I say to her real calmly. Yup. When you able to voice your opinion, and not be doing this right here, that's when we gonna talk. And then I leave out the crib. You know what I'm saying? That's it. It ain't nothing else to say. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nobody gonna be yelling like I said, but me. You know, same thing at the school, bro. Uh, it's expectations and accountability. Those the other two things. I lay out the expectation flat out. Hey, this is what I expect. I expect for you to go to class. I expect for you to keep your hands to your motherfucking self. You know what I'm saying? And when I ask you to do something, you know, unless you got a question, I expect for you to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, anybody got any questions? You know what I'm saying? Normally it's crickets. And at that point, I feel like I have the authority now to get you into the expectations that I had laid out. You know what I'm saying? It's real cut and dry with me, and as long as you consistent, right, the discipline will be respected. I want to just say out loud to everybody, man, black kids especially, they thrive in structure. So if you give it to them, you will see them thrive. That is why the
Fact.
good brother 95. That's why he got 95 percentile in math and science, because it's a habit. And so as long as you got kids practicing, exactly the behavior you model. If you start snapping every time something go bad, hey, expect they ass to be snapping every time something go bad. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
And you said that, and
Go
that's
ahead.
when you came in. That's what we was going in on, the proper protocol for black men in the house for interacting with the wife. Because I used to go off at times, but then my son started to repeat everything back to me that I would say to his mom, and that put me in check though, because I didn't want my son. Me and my wife got in a big argument, and my son said to me, "Dad, I don't like when you argue with my mom." But my wife was the aggressor. But that did was check me and say, "Well, damn, you know what? My son is watching me, and I don't want my son to have any type of resentment towards me as his father,
Mhm.
because I'm the disciplinarian as well." So I had to
Mhm.
really check myself as far as the interaction, as far as within my home. But no, but you can go ahead. Then we go to Twin Man.
Yeah. Just to add on to your point, that's structure, bro. And so as long as everybody that's in your vicinity, you know what I'm saying, that you come in contact with, as long as they know that you get, this is the what you can expect from me, and you remain consistent. I mean, that's just manhood anyway. You know what I'm saying? Don't put your mouth on something that you can't deliver on. That's just shit. I mean, that's just what it is. I mean, every man gonna be judged by what he say and do. It ain't nothing that I can do to stop that. I mean, there's consequences for when you don't deliver on your word. What's a man without his word? You know, so that's what when you're dealing with men. I would say it's a challenge dealing with women, especially young ladies.
No, we ain't gonna get to that. Hold that part. We're gonna get to
Oh,
that.
okay. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm gonna
it's
go to
definitely a whole set of different rules when I'm dealing with women. But with my wife, I don't raise my voice, and if she raises hers, uh, then I just walk away. Hey, as soon as you come to yourself and you stop screaming and hollering, then we gonna have this conversation. And then, if she keep talking, I just walk away, bro. You know what I'm saying? I do it like a Chinese, like if you was to think about it, like you a Chinese martial artist, you an old man. He ain't worked up when the student is trying to hit him. He just get away from you, and then he hits you one time, you fall. That's the way, what I'm saying. If I was to give an analogy to it, you just gotta deal with it with finesse. The aggressiveness and the anger and all of that. I say that for men who I feel like might need to be reminded of the code. You know what I'm saying? It's manhood out here, man. And so that's how I carry myself. You know what I'm saying?
Right, cool. Let's go to Twin. Twin, I know you've been listening in the chat. We're talking about disciplining with the boys. I know you're not married, so but you got custody of your boys. What is discipline as a black man for you inside the house?
Well, what I did was I kind of modeled it after how I was done. I don't hit my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, I got my ass toe up growing up. You know what I'm saying? So I'm a big believer in not making the same mistake twice, and them ass whoopings got me right. But what I do for my sons is I have them, like, especially like things around the house, I have them buy into the fact that this is not just mine, but this is ours. You see what I'm saying? And we are going to do things in this house, and we are going to do things together. And when they jack up, I just be like, yo, you want punishment? And there's no argument, because you already know you fucked up. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason to explain it. I don't have to go into detail. I've given you the guidelines. I've given you the, I like what he was talking about with structure. You are in a, structure is real big, but you know exactly what's expected of you. I have 2 rules in my house: do your chores and do good in school. And the moment you fuck up, I don't gotta hit you. I just fuck with your mind. Like, you can't mess with your electronics. I don't even take it out your room. You just can't touch it. And if I catch you touching it, I bought it. I don't mind breaking that shit in half right in front of you and throwing it out. I only had to do that shit one time for each one of my kids, and they already knew I don't play.
Right. What's as far as inside the household, is there a lot of cussing?
No.
Okay.
If I gotta go off, only time I really cuss is if I have to go off. Like, if I have to repeat myself too many times, and which is rarely. It's a rarity. But if I have to cuss you out, they know you don't piss me off. Because you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Again, you know exactly what you're supposed to do. All 3 of my sons. I don't have to really say anything.
Right.
My house runs itself. Real talk.
Let me ask you though. Let's see, because you and brother Taz is sort of in the same situation. But raising the boys by yourself, how hard is that, man? I couldn't even imagine raising these kids in the house without my wife. This has to be crazy.
It's fun, man. It's fun. Like, me and my kids, we be in here, we be tripping out. Like, I'm a bigger kid than them sometimes. We be in here, I'll be clowning. We be in here clowning, watching TV, playing the game, going out, playing basketball and shit. We just be chilling. Again, as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, I don't care. Like, they know me. I don't care. You can have fun in the crib as long as you ain't tearing up the crib, and as long as you're doing your chores and you're doing right in school, you have free reign. Like, real talk. They just know at the end of the day, when I say something, move and get it done. If you ain't moving, you ain't getting it done, we have an issue. And again, like I said, I don't really have to yell. You're on punishment. And if you cry, this is what I tell them. Why are you crying? Does crying solve problems? No. What solves problems? Well, action solves problems. All right, then. So fix your face and do what you got to do, and we'll talk about you getting off punishment.
You sound like me. You sound just like me.
Like real talk. Like there's
you know
no
what?
need for all that.
But you know what happens? And we got all the brothers can chime in on this. What happens is a lot of times inside the house when we lay that hammer down like that as fathers, they run to their moms and lay on their moms, and they get that love, and they get that moms. A lot of times, dads, we can be hard and cold at times, but we know what we're doing, and they go to moms, and moms will take up for them and give them that leeway to get away with certain shit.
Nah, when I was married, I ain't allow that. When she saw that they was getting into it, when she saw that they was in trouble, guess what? They would try to do that shit. She was like, "Hey, you heard your father."
Right.
But it is. That was one thing we were united on. If one of us said something, that was it. There wasn't no second guessing it. There wasn't no, well, maybe, nope. That is what we said. And I know there was things that she said that there's things that I said that she didn't agree with, and vice versa. But guess what? That's what you have put down. I'm gonna back you up. And that's what parenting is about. At the end of the day, you're not always going to agree. But if this is what you said, you can't change it up, because then the kids start playing y'all against each other. Kids ain't slick. Your kids is slick. Real talk. They know exactly what they did. Because again, we was children. You know how to play your moms and pops against each other if you really wanted to.
I want to. This is what I want to do. I'm gonna shake things up real quick, because a lot of this is funny, right? We only got 45 people in the chat watching tonight, right? And when we got three thumbs down, right? And this is the joke of it, because people like me, Twin Man, Taz, we be on these channels going after these brothers that be disrespecting black women, right? Hardcore, like we be going after them. But when I form a panel like this of black men that's actually in the community doing what they're supposed to do, how the fuck we only got 45 people watching? Where you got people saying we're the actual type of black men that the women say that they want. We're the ones. We're the ones that a lot of these sucker niggas on black YouTube are called simps. We're the simps. But so now I got a panel assembled of simps that's actually holding down families, and 45 people come in the chat. But if we was on here talking about fuck MGTOW, it'd be 500 motherfuckers in there. This is the sickness of our community. We're actually talking about black men, active fathers in the community. So what I want to do, and I'm gonna come to Brother Taz on this one. I want a talking point in the black community being a stepfather. I'm a stepdad. I married my wife. She came into the marriage with a son. I embraced him as my own, and I raised him as my son, and I'm proud of him. I'm a stepdad. What's your opinion on being a stepdad, Dad?
I mean, it's real simple for me, man. Like, I don't believe that you can have a community without stepfathers. Like when I hear people talking that community shit, but then they try to shit on stepfathers or don't kids and shit like that, I just think they talking bullshit. I don't think you can have a community if people aren't willing to step in and raise that next generation. Like that's part of the problem, I think, with some of the kids we have now is we're saying they don't have no leadership, but don't nobody want to be the leader. Like somebody got to step in and be the leader for them. You know what I'm saying? Like we can't all be mentors. Somebody got to be a father figure. And so until people get back to that, is it really the kids' fault that they lack that? You know what I mean? So yeah, I believe stepfathers is very necessary, bro.
Right, but see, Taz, you got a large portion of black YouTuber men that call us simps for being stepfathers. I'm not stepping in for the wrong decisions and the children suffer. But I'm a stepdad. I'll move on. Moses, what's your opinion on stepfathers? And then I'll come to Red.
Shit, I wouldn't be here if my dad wasn't a stepfather. The woman he met had a woman. I mean, the woman he met had a son already, and she was young even at that. So it was a young woman who had already had a baby before she turned 18. That's my mama. And then by the time they got together, being he was a military person, she was 21 years old, had my older brother, and then had myself. But had it not been for him being open and willing to accept, man, let me do it a little bit more sophisticated because I got a reputation to uphold. That Bible is a mug. Where was Joseph daddy when Mary came around talking about I'm pregnant? And how would any of those Bible thumpers be in a position of saying, well, I believe in Jesus, had it not been for that simp stepdad and that legacy of men who are willing to embrace it? They said, Father Abraham, quote it, and let's get Captain on the line. Father Abraham took his, what was it, the Egyptian or Ethiopian woman, the hand slave?
Yeah.
And so come on with the relate. You can build nations, but you got to be open to just love. It's those people who have lost that part of themselves, really, and they've replaced it with the unfound love and adoration for the white man. And I'm gonna shut up.
I'm coming to Red and then to Richie. What's your opinion, D Red, on being a stepdad, on stepfathers in the black community?
Well, I feel I go by the problem. See, I grew up in a household with my grandmama. Like, I didn't grow up with her, but you know what I mean. My grandma pretty much was the biggest influence I had because, like I told you before, George, my mama abandoned me. My fucking dad was whatever. So, what my grandma taught me was, if I feed them, they mine. So
Right.
I never grew up with a concept of step, even though I had cousins that may have been step this or whatever the case may be. My grandma didn't make no difference. So she never said this is your step cousin or this is your step this. If I feed them, they mine. So I don't even understand the concept of step to me. Because if I feed them, and that's why I say I got a bunch of kids, because it's been plenty of kids that's called me coach, my lights off, coach. We ain't got nothing to eat. Coach, if I take care of you, you are mine. That's my kid.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So I don't even go by the concept. I don't even understand that concept to me. So that's foreign to me.
Right. And there's a lot of this bullshit going around YouTube where you got black men now, they're so anti-community. I don't even know what that meant, because I have so many children and boys and people that I took care of in the community as my own. I mean, people don't understand just how bad crack destroys, especially the East Coast up here in Philadelphia and New York and these the Northeast corridor, the way we bunched on top of each other. There was a lot of wayward children. There was a lot of children that was taken under the wing by older people. So I had a lot of boys that I raised up before I even had my baby son. So when I came to YouTube and I started hearing this shit about not being a stepdads and not, I'm like, man, what the fuck is this shit?
But can I add to something? Add to that, George? You gotta. My grandma told me consider the source, bro. So
Right.
you gotta always understand that a lot of these cats that's talking all this old dumb shit, these niggas never jumped off the porch. I jumped off the porch at 12, 13 years old. So a lot of these cats ain't never really jumped off the porch and done nothing really for real. A lot of them are schoolboys, which ain't nothing wrong with that. But a lot of them is on that lane where if you ain't got no kids and you don't want to deal with a woman that got kids, then that's your choice. See, I'm not averse. I'm not against their choice, but at the same time, it don't make somebody a simp because he steps in and does what he's supposed to do if the woman has kids. If you dealing with a woman that has kids, it's a package deal anyway. So you gotta handle that accordingly. So I mean, that just is what it is. So I wouldn't even waste my time worrying about them, because them niggas is irrelevant, really, because most of them same people, when you ask them what programs and services they got for the community, they ain't got shit. You feel me? So I don't even entertain them niggas, real honest with you. So ignore them niggas, man.
Right. Where you at, Richie, on the stepfather thing, Rich?
I'm with the red. Like, if it's a package deal, you're dealing with so many women now who have children already. So you can stick your head in the sand, but I don't know how you're gonna keep flexing if you never acknowledge none of these children. And that also tells me that you have never really been in love with no woman, especially none with a child anyway. Because again, if you really love that woman and you check for her and she's got a child, you're going to have to work with that situation. It's as simple as that. And if she's any decent, half decent mother, she's not going to allow you to just come in the house, use resources, or somehow used to have this whole separate life going on, and there's never any interaction with the kids. That don't make no sense. So, as D-Red said, that's just some dumb shit for me. It don't make sense. But I get the feeling of a younger man not wanting to be used, by a woman in that way. Because when I was younger and I first met the mother of my two sons, she had a daughter who was 1. And, her daughter was very intelligent, always talking. And by the time she was like 3, she was asking me like, am I her dad, and all these kinds of things. And at first I told her, no, I'm not your dad. You can call me Richard and all these kinds of things. And I kind of regretted it later on downs, because I never bring a separation, as Red said as well. There's no such thing to me as a step situation, because from the brothers were born, that's their sister, that's their brother. You know what I'm saying? There's no steps attached to that. But again, in my short-sightedness as a youngster, I looked at it like it was lessening myself to somehow, as the West Indians say, be a jacket. Yeah, where you come in and, you're wearing someone else's situation. But again, that's short-sightedness. And if you truly love the woman and you're about that woman and she's about what she's about, which should be motherhood and being the best of what she can be, then I don't see how you can come with that attitude and come in the door. If she's letting you in and that's how you are, she's shit. She don't know herself. And if you're coming in and you think you're going to keep fucking women and not acknowledging any kids that pre-exist before your presence, you're a dickhead, and that ain't going to fucking work either.
Hold on for a second. Everybody in the chat room, look at Ronald Dennis. Now look, y'all, look. We got brothers on the platform talking about raising up boys and doing the right thing. Everybody check Ronald Dennis out. Let's look at Ronald Dennis. Don't time him out either, y'all. Come on, Ronald. That's the best you got. Brother George, weak topics. Weak topic.
What's a strong topic?
Oh, yeah, the question. Strong topic. See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
but George,
you already know what a strong topic is, George. Black female fuckery. What's wrong with black women? That dude's a clown, man.
but you gotta always maintain your game too. So a motherfucker come in the chat talking that old dumb shit. Ignore that nigga. Let's keep on rolling. That nigga.
I want this. Is what I want to do. I want to switch gears to this part. All right, we got the brothers on here. Sci-fi got him out of there. She said, "Too late, George. Sorry." I want to know from the brothers. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. Let me go to brother Rob first. Let me go to brother Rob and ask him about being a stepfather, and then I got two more subtopics, and then we're out of here. Brother Rob, what's your opinion on being a stepdad? You there, brother Rob? All right, he probably stepped away for a minute. Let's do this. I want to I'm gonna start off with Taz on this one too.
George, can I fire that stepdad real quick?
Yeah, my bad, man. My bad. I'm gonna go unravel for a minute. Yeah, go ahead.
You good? So little background on myself. The man who raised me my entire life is not my biological father. But that is my father through and through. When I was down, he took care of me. When I was sick, he took me to the hospital. When I was hungry, he fed me, he kept a roof over my head and kept me clothed. That's what a father does. For the real housewives of YouTube, as I call them, that talk about the black community and talk about how the community is fucked up, this, that, and the third, but don't want to take the initiative to make sure the next generation is doing better than they did or giving them some guidance, they ain't shit, George. Real talk. Because if you can't sit here, to me, it is nothing more honorable than a man who is willing to step up and guide a youngster, whether it's a young man or a young sister, in the right direction. Growing up, George, and we grew up in the hood. Oh, I don't know who else. Red said he grew up in the hood. Taz grew up in the hood or has been around the hood. So is Moses. Every man on this panel's been around the hood. There was always that young dude who didn't have a father, but he already knew the OGs in the hood was going to take care of him. Real talk. If you needed advice, you could go to your neighbor. You can go to your neighbor. You can go to your best friend's father. These dudes, to me, George, are weak because they're willing to bang on the black community, but they're not willing to take the initiative and step up and be the natural leaders of their community to fix it.
Right.
So to me, when I hear that, oh, if you're the cleanup man, no, I'm not the cleanup man. I'm not cleaning up shit. What I'm doing is I'm building, I'm molding. I have my twin brother, because that's why my name is Twin Man. My twin brother, his wife, when he met his wife, she had a baby. That baby now was in his 20s. You see what I'm saying? And he didn't think twice of marrying that woman. He didn't think twice of taking care of that child because he understood that child was innocent. That child deserves a father. Every child deserves a father. So for those dudes who talk that dumb shit, you ain't shit. And you really don't want to see the community get better if you really are going to sit here and say you're the cleanup man or you're dumb for being a stepfather. No, take some of these youngsters under your wing. Who said you ain't got to even fuck with their moms? How about if you see a child in need or you see a child that can use some guidance and you have the ability to do it? How about you do that? But these dudes is clowns, George, and I rest.
I want to do this. Me and Taz was talking about it briefly on before the show started. Taz, how you there, Taz?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, how do, in your opinion, how do we get to have more of these type of discussions on air, off air, where we can get brothers, where we can start conditioning black men to be vulnerable amongst each other, where we can actually talk and help each other? Because I believe in America, black men are taught not to be emotional and not to be vulnerable. So a lot of issues that we have, we keep bottled in, and it never gets dealt with. But when we have these type of panels, we actually see that we all have sort of similar problems. And when we're having these conversations and talking, without trying to act like we're Superman, we actually begin to do some damage and fix things. What's your opinion as to how we can get past this ego as black men?
I don't know if we ever will, especially in a public setting. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta really be able to stick your chest out to say some fucked up shit about yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really got, you know what I mean? When you're telling the negatives about yourself, and a lot of people just ain't willing to publicly. Exposing a lot of your exposing a lot of your vulnerabilities.
You breaking up.
Opens you up for attack. I think that as to why people want to talk, because they open themselves up to attack the more they talk about themselves and how they feel.
Right. And I'm just looking at it as a post. So you think we should have a lot of off-air conversations, like hangouts?
Yeah, you need the group therapy.
Yeah, because I believe that a lot of times I see black YouTube and I see black men communing, and I'm not gonna say the channels, but we all know who the channels are. And every topic is about what the woman ain't doing, or just some. It's no type of growth and development that's developing the minds of black men. I don't see it. So now, yeah, go ahead. Well, let me just finish this one last part, Ray.
Go ahead.
So, and what happens is what I'm seeing on YouTube is black men saying, okay, we're tired of being marginalized. We're tired of this. Black men, do what the fuck you want. There is no recourse for your actions. There is no training these young men up as to which way they should go. There's no discipline. Who's at the forefront of training these young men up? All they're saying is the black woman is shit. We're tired of being stepped on, and we're just doing what the fuck we want to do. But now, while you're saying the black community ain't shit, you still sleeping with the women in the community. So where do we get these type of platforms where we start teaching, combating that shit, and teaching young black boys proper protocol? How do we get this to happen more?
I mean, first we gotta understand, bro, that, like I said, them niggas some bullshit niggas anyway. So you gotta. That's the first thing you foremost. Consider the source. My granny always used to stress that to me so much when I was little that it's just ingrained in my head. Consider the source, right? And so next, the reason why them type of niggas can't find no woman, cause don't no woman want no complaining, whiny, bitchy ass nigga anyway. You see what I'm saying? So that's the reason why you see a woman it's in a woman's DNA to wanna breed with and be attracted to dominance. Period. You see what I'm saying? So what happens is a nigga that sit on the platform and whine and bitch and cry all day, he sit down when he piss. Let's keep it a stack. You see what I'm saying? So, and ain't no chick gonna want no motherfucker like that anyway. So that's why you got the problem trying to find a chick, because you acting like a chick. See, chicks sit around and talk about the problem. Men sit around and discuss the solution. It's a total different mindset. You see what I'm saying? So you got to look at the dudes and see the climate and see what's going on, and then you start understanding why these dudes having some of the problems and issues that they having, and they think that saying fuck women is a masculine trait, when in all actuality that's a feminine trait, because women put their fucking dress on, men don't. You see what I'm saying? See, so when these niggas put their fucking dress on, they're just showing you who they are. See, they really, and I hate to say it, and I'm not even as too much a fan as NDG, but she got a point when she call them niggas beta males, because they're not even beta males. That's giving them too much. Them niggas is like omega males, nigga. Them niggas is the last niggas in line. You see what I'm saying? So at this particular point, you got to consider the source. And it's really nothing to counter, because they counter themselves. And the reason why they can't get no woman is because they niggas that want to sit around and complain. Women don't like no complaining ass, whiny ass nigga. I've never seen it. I got 3 little sisters. They don't like it. My wife don't like it. My cousin don't like no woman that I know like no whiny ass nigga. So nigga, sit down when you piss. Wipe from motherfucking front to back, nigga. Shut the fuck
up. Let me say something quickly. Yeah,
go ahead, Rich.
I mean, look, one thing we gotta remember. Yeah, it's about selection of your woman. This is a conversation we have to have. I mean, tonight we've been talking about our kids, how we deal with them, what's the protocol, but all of these facets have connections and connotations to the woman and how we pick them, who they are to us, how we feel about them. You understand? These all matter. If we don't deal with our selection process and understand when we come across a shit bitch and when we come across a dime piece, if we can't make these distinctions, we're forever going to be chasing our tail, having these conversations and listening to these guys talking. Because again, when we're listening to most of these guys who are bitching about black women and whatever, most of the time it's because they have not found or cracked the code of relationships. They haven't found someone who they can even say that they love, let alone are with. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? And feel like those feelings are being reflected on the same level. That's a problem in the first instance. So if you can't crack that, if you don't know about your selection process, then when it comes to looking after kids, governing households, having conversations, all this kind of shit, it takes a secondary back burner because you're not as motivated. You know what I'm saying? This is where, again, the hypocrisy of picking women is a funny thing. What you won't do for one woman, tomorrow Beyonce or whoever walks in the door, and you're doing all that shit straight away. Yeah? And that's why, again, as men, we got to know ourselves when we're picking these women. Because that is going to make the process either a lot harder or a lot easier when it comes to fulfilling what you need to do.
Yo, George, real quick. These dudes, I like to call them smart, dumb motherfuckers. And I'm going to tell you why I call them smart, dumb motherfuckers. Because they got all the education in the world. They got all that. They achieved all their goals. But this is why they're dumb. They can't figure out the problem is them. They'll sit here and they'll put, again, they've made black women, George, real talk, Thanos. Black women is God in their mind. Black women are so out front in their mind, they control whether or not some of these dudes can actually find relationships or actually live life or death in some of these motherfuckers in mind sometimes. It's crazy to me how they talk. Because again, if you listen to the type of woman they describe, it's obviously a trifling ass woman. Right, Black Ice?
Right?
You feel me, George? They're describing a trifling ass woman. So I'll just ask questions and let them talk themselves into a box. Why are you
Shout out to
sitting here?
Obsidian.
Why are you sitting here going after the worst, the bottom of the barrel woman, and then complaining about that woman? Why didn't you like what Black Ice said, vet better? And the moment she started showing you she wasn't about shit, move on.
Break the fuck out.
Every dude on this panel ran into a female who wasn't shit.
Every last one of us.
But we were able to sit here and say, she ain't shit, and leave her alone. These dudes, no. They're gonna make 8-hour live streams about literally a specific type of woman, generalize and brand that entire type of woman on every woman in the Black community, but sit here and say, I'm not doing that, and I'm not. The only thing I'm pointing out is Black female fuckery. Last time I checked, Black female fuckery isn't. If every Black woman stopped all the shit that they was complaining about, George, we still mass incarcerated. The police is still shooting us. We still economically behind this bitch.
But they don't believe it's them. Let's do this though. Let's get back on topic real quick. I want to deal with this last topic before we get out of here. It's Friday night. I know Taz want to go out and party tonight. Taz and D Red want to go party tonight. Let's do this. Let's get to our daughters and sisters and our mothers for a minute. Let's as Black men and fathers. We know that discipline with our daughters is different. I struggle with that a lot. Me and my wife battle with that a lot. I'm totally different with my sons than I am with my daughters. I had this conversation with D Red on the phone. As Black men, a lot of the men in the chat room probably can attest to this as well. We have a problem disciplining our daughters, and I think that a lot of times as Black fathers, we actually done our daughters a disservice growing up over the years, because when you see like a girl get struck in the eye by a boy or slapped, a lot of times we jump into action on the end result, the slap. This guy just slapped the shit out of the girl, but we never ever deal with the girl and the protocol to her behavior and what her behavior is and how we should be raising her up. Who's telling these girls to shut your mouth? Stop being boys. Why did you spit on this boy? Why did you hit this boy? All we see at the end result of the boy slapping the girl or punching the girl in the face or throwing the girl on the ground. And I got sons and daughters, so I know that my daughters got some mouths on them, big mouths. And I always tell my daughters, don't be running your mouth with no boys or trying to jump bad with boys. And I know we live in a society where we're not teaching our young girls proper discipline. We've created a society where we allow our girls to do what the fuck they want to do, but we discipline our boys in a heartbeat. But we fail to discipline our daughters in a lot of different aspects as to putting them in check as to how they should be conducting themselves as young ladies. I see it all the time. Fathers have a big problem with discipline when it comes to their daughters. Let's start with the panel. Somebody can jump in on this. What's your opinion on this?
I take it. I got an 8-year-old, a 10-year-old. I keep calling her 8 because she always the baby. Oh wait, is that Taz coming in?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna be very quick though, man. I was gonna say my daughter 18, man, and she ain't never had a B. You know what I'm saying? So how can I not be like very easy on her? She's never even had a fucking B, dog.
You
know what I'm saying? Like,
you 6'7", 260, man.
I got the hell out the way. I don't watch every episode of Wow. Every episode. I'm like, anybody do that much research would probably beat you. He got some energy right now. Let me get out the way.
I would get all A's and B's too if I lived in your house.
But I'm just saying, man. She a lot different scale than my son. Like I say, I gotta battle with him and remind him, like, hey, man, them scouts, they're going to be looking at them grades. You know what I'm saying? That's what to get him to them books. Like, you can't get her out the books, though. So it's like, you know what I mean? Like, I think it's a reason why we got to put more effort into the boys and the girls kind of skate by because, a lot of the girls do better than the boys, man. It just is what it is.
Right.
That's facts.
But let me ask you, what's your opinion as to like when you see, because it might not be inside your house, but you know you got brothers, sisters, homies. When you see the way we discipline our sons, as opposed to what society allow young girls to get away with, what's your opinion on that?
Well, like I say, man, I do think like the environment is everything, but I just think there is though a necessity, man, to look at the women as the weaker vessel, and I only mean in the physical sense.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so, you know what I mean? Like I just think that there's more of a protection from my standpoint. I see it as more of a protection than a necessity to chastise. And so I try not to reach out into the community in terms of women, but I know some of them are running loose. But
Right.
like in terms of the women around me, those are the ones I feel like I can affect. And like I say, I just try not to have it around me. But when I look around, it is fucked up. But how do you check another woman in somebody else's circle? Because what I'm saying is you can't check one of mine. I don't give a fuck what it is about none of mine you don't like. You can't check none of mine. So I don't think that puts me in a position where I can check one of yours.
Right, right. And I guess I'm laying out. I guess what I'm laying out to the panel is we discipline black boys all the time, and we put them in check on what they shouldn't do and what they. And me being a father of daughters, I tell my daughters all the time, like the end result, you'll see the boy, but when a girl is mouthing off in the house and mouthing, or she's physical, she hits, and when the boy hits her back, the boy gets in trouble, but society never corrects her. And as a father, I think that's dangerous because I don't want to get that phone call where I got to go and fuck this nigga up because the motherfucker done beat up my daughter. But then my daughter is over there acting crazy. But society always told her that that's okay for her to do that.
You got to bust that narrative from young. This is where, again, look, your daughter is going to be reflecting what her mum is doing and showing her ultimately.
Right.
But as a father, this is where you having regular conversations with your daughter, where you have these moral conversations and she hears that different vibration in your voice when you're explaining a life lesson to how the mum's explaining it. That is where you have to understand your importance as a dad. But with a daughter, just like with the sons, you're facing a situation where ultimately it's the mum that has to set the lead because that's who the girl is going to be looking at. Yeah, there's going to come a time where as a young adult, she will definitely vibes and appreciate things that you've shown her as a dad if you're there in her life consistently and all the rest of it. But that is a very hard narrative to deal with because, again, just like the sons, whether you've got a baby mother that acts abrasive and wants to try and cut you out, or whether or not you've got a baby mother that works with you in the parenting situation, ultimately your son is going to look to you as the dad for certain behavioral cues on what to do and how to be. And that's whether you're there or you're absent. They're still going to be trying to fill that gap. So we have to understand this. And that's where, again, you just have to have regular conversations with your daughter and make her see, again, it's even more imperative that she doesn't see you acting crazy with the mum, because I think that immediately will shut down levels of conversation that you need to have with your daughter.
Right. And I want to stand to the panel. It don't have to just be the daughter. It could be your sisters. It could be your aunts. Just the way that as a father and a brother and an uncle and a protector, the way society has pushed it to where there's not too much discipline on the woman when she's acting unruly towards the man, but the man gets the discipline. As a father and as a brother, I'm talking to the brothers on the panel. How do we deal with that? I mean, what's the protocol? So we come on, Rob. Yeah, we bring Rob in on that.
Yeah. My pops had called earlier, so I don't know if you was calling me, man. But
Yeah, it's cool.
yeah. I just say that Taz kind of laid out the essentially what the problem is. You know what I'm saying? As men, we'll respect other men even if they not there when you dealing with their daughter, when you dealing with their sister, when you dealing with their mother. Because I mean, like at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying, a woman start snapping in public on me, you know what I'm saying? Right? I'm gonna be like, man, go get your husband. Go get your boyfriend. You know what I'm saying? Because I can't talk to you. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna just do that out of respect. Same thing with somebody's daughter. You know what I'm saying? So, in the school system where I work at, what I try to do, the young ladies I deal with, they coming from a lot of trauma anyway. I just try to temper uh uh they rage, they anger, and then I try to build up as much confidence as I can in them. I think I try to make them my allies. Cause I mean, boys, at this age that I'm dealing with, I'm talking about, 16 to 19, you know what I'm saying? Man, they own it, you know what I'm saying? And I mean, I know how I was at that age. So, if anything, with the young ladies that I'm dealing with, I get them real life examples. You know what I'm saying? I'm talking about Bessie Coleman, Fannie Lou Hamer, Angela Davis, women that you can look at, Harriet Tubman, women that you can look at and hopefully they can see themselves in them. You know what I mean? But I feel like Taz, laid out the problem with going hard, with anybody, sister, daughter, mama, auntie, you know, you gonna think about the other man like, man, I wouldn't want nobody snapping on my niece. I don't have any daughters, but I wouldn't want nobody snapping on my niece or any of my students. You know what I'm saying?
What would you tell your students, brother Rob, if you got, let's just use a scenario. Let's just say you got a girl and they're acting crazy and she all up in the boy's face and she mugged the boy or hit the boy, and he's not a grown man, he's a young man that doesn't have a control over his emotions. She smacks him and he punches her. And then everybody sees that and he gets in trouble. What do you think the proper protocol would be to handle that once the whole story come out, when they say that, well, she slapped the mess out of him and then he punched her? Because we know the boy gonna get in trouble. But what's the protocol for the young lady?
Right. Well, that's the beauty of having video, you know what I'm saying, with that scenario. I'm showing the parent literally, look, here go the video. Here go your daughter jumping up out of her seat and she slaps the piss out of this young man. Then that young man has every right to defend himself at that point. I mean, I would hope that he would show some discretion, right? But ma'am, sir, this is what happened. So your daughter is gonna get suspended and this young man is gonna get suspended. And then from there I have a peace circle. But when I'm processing with the young lady, I'm like, man, if you scratch the bear, you might as well expect for the bear to kill your ass. You know what I mean? Like, you don't be no fool. You can't run up on no man, and that ain't ladylike. This is literally you talking about a real life scenario I just had you about a month ago. You know what I'm saying? So that's literally what I told her. You know what I'm saying? You can tell your daddy I said it. You know what I'm saying? You can't go around slapping the piss out of boys and think you ain't gonna get your teeth knocked out. You know what I'm saying? That's real life, baby. You know what I'm saying? It don't matter where you go in the world. Any woman that go and put their hands on a man, you know what I'm saying, you done just stepped into a world that you can't handle. You know what I'm saying? And I just fall back on that. I
Right.
mean, that's reality. You know what I'm
And,
saying?
I'll say this as a pass the mic to the women in the chat room. I want all the women in the chat room to understand why George is saying this. Because a lot of our women been conditioned to defend women, but y'all forget that y'all have sons. I want the women in the chat room to listen to what George is saying to you guys. A lot of women are conditioned to defend women. I teach my sons to never hit a girl, but a lot of you women have sons, and a lot of these girls are out of control. They're super out of control. And a lot of times women are tolerated until it's their son. A woman will say that man was wrong. But as soon as your son gets caught up in the allegation of hitting a woman, a lot of you moms will say, that bitch, she provoked my son or she hit my son first. So what I'm telling black women is the same way you teach your sons to not hit a woman, you have to check your daughters on what being a woman is, a young lady, how to conduct herself as a young lady. Because when it's your son that's down in the principal's office, or it's your son that's getting locked up, you black women would defend your son to the end of the earth. So I'm telling you, I'm giving you some OG wisdom. Understand that you have a proper protocol to discipline your daughters and teach them how they should be young ladies. Because we give birth to boys and girls, and you have to defend your boys the same way you defend your girls. Whoever else want to speak on that, and then we gonna give our closing arguments. So I gotta go. I gotta sip, Moses. I gotta go pick up the wife.
We know you in an episode of The Simpsons, Big George. That's it. Every other week we see you simping, man. Hey, so I put it out like this. We deal with principles, right? We deal with the code. You say, what is the code that we should have as brothers? And I know it's going to vary from situation to situation on its smaller tactical implications, but on a greater sense, even as I write it down, there's still even biblical or universal principles, right? You have the don't talk back, don't complain, don't insult people, refrain from violence, refrain from anger and wrath to avoid those consequences. The only caveat is self-defense or defense of others. Don't steal, don't cheat, don't deceive. Be bold, be honest, be respectable, have dignity, loyalty, pride, but not arrogant. So those are some of the major principles that we might go off. But on a same sense, when it comes to discipline our daughter, what do those actions look like? For me, and this might not be everybody else's, but I had to reverse engineer the gender roles, meaning that she's already going in a pathway of education, but she's a creative. So just like I wanted to teach my son how to hustle, the importance of hard work, keep a job, move up, be ambitious. I wanted my daughter, the equivalent energy is entrepreneurship. That's her dignity. That's her discipline right there. So whenever she gets punished, I'm denying her access to my money. But what does that also instill? That a man, not even daddy, is supposed to take care of you and take care of you financially. Don't ask for charity. She created a PayPal. So I told her just to create an idea and then pitch it to those that you know and those that you would like to introduce yourself to. And when you pitch it, do it with your professional voice. Interactions with people that you have to listen twice, just like we teach our boys to measure twice and cut once, to be observant and then to be relatable. Because when it comes down to it, you're going to be an authority. You're smart and you're beautiful. Love your beauty. Those beauty standards, though, there are some dress codes that she's going to have to be comfortable with when it comes to her body type. She's going to experience those from the reflection of her mother, who wears business suits. There's popular kids who have cell phones, but to her, she has to pay her bill every month. Remind you, she's 10 years old. But for me, her discipline is financial discipline. And I'll let it close on that. But I do want to shout out that the next show that I'll be delivering on Brother George Macon's will be on an economic perspective. We've talked about redlining a couple of times, but I got a couple of interactive maps that are going to bear down on our communities so that we can see how segregated we still are. That redlining is still in effect, and we're going to talk about it
tomorrow. Yeah, we're going to do that for tomorrow's show. Who else want to speak on this topic? You want to grab this D-Red before we close out?
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, what was you in there with? I'm sorry, I got distracted.
It was about discipline with our daughters, our sisters, how the proper protocol as to what we're telling our daughters and our sisters about their mouths and about the way that they deal with things. Because society always deal with men and tell men what to do. But how are we disciplining our daughters?
I mean, at this particular point, I mean, you gotta. I think, like I said, she handled the situation with baby girl. I don't handle it, but I do let her know. Says you can't be out here thinking that you know man. You ain't no man. You know what I'm saying? Even a weak man can probably whoop a woman. You know what I'm saying? So you just let them know the reality of what is out here. You see what I'm saying? Like, I don't have to do nothing, too crazy, too nothing extra. You know what I'm saying? I just talk to her, let her know what's out here. You see what I'm saying? I let her. She come to the games and she see the men and the women out here arguing with each other and the women getting flied. I just, you just let them know what's out here. You see what I'm saying? Let them know the consequences of what can happen to them if you jump out there. You see what I'm saying? Let them know that some dudes gonna have restraint, some dudes are not. Some dudes are gonna react to when you call them a bitch nigga or whatever. You jump out here talking. You see what I'm saying? And so I let her try to let them know you don't argue with no man that ain't your husband. You don't go back and forth with no man. You see what I'm saying? What are you doing that for? You see what I'm saying? Because that connotates some form of sexual tension. You don't need to be arguing with no man. What you arguing with him for? You see what I'm saying? So you try to teach them those basics, you know what I'm saying? That it ain't for all that. You see what I'm saying? Just say what you gotta say. If he don't agree, that's fine. You see what I'm saying? If he agreed to y'all build on that, you keep it moving. You see what I'm saying? Even with her husband, you talk to him. You let him know, hey, I ain't feeling X, Y, and Z. You see what I'm saying? If he handling his business as a man in the head of the house, if he say, well, I understand you don't agree with that, then but I say this, then that's what it is. That's the house. And so, like we said earlier, it's the same thing with the boys. The boys are gonna see how the household is run. You see what I'm saying? And if you have a woman that understands that it's strength and submission, then she's gonna submit. So in turn, the girl will acquiesce and develop those characteristics on down the line. So it's about the man as the father teaching her the realities of men. You see what I'm saying? How men think, how we operate, how we move, the games we play, the cons we do. You see what I'm saying? Everything about a man, everything, because she's gonna see the positives, father and her brothers, you see her cousins, and so forth and so on. But you teach her all of the gamut so she can have a well-rounded perspective of men. And usually it I mean, from my dealings as far as having three sisters, little sisters, that usually work. That's usually all it takes is to let a motherfucker know. And it is a nigga out here that will beat the brakes off you.
Right.
You think you pop it off with that mouth? You think you woo woo woo? It's a dude out here that will box you like a dude and won't think nothing of it. Then I'm gonna have to kill him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? But they out here. You see what I'm saying? So be careful who you think you're gonna pop off to, and you don't have to argue with a man. You can learn how to disagree without being disagreeable. You ain't gotta argue with no dude. So that's how I do it.
All right, well, let's do this. Let's be short winded, real quick. Let's come down. Let's close out. But let's give our last closing out on basically just fatherhood and protocol in the house. We start with Twin Man on down. Twin Man to Taz to Moses on down. But let's be short because I got to get out of here.
All right, so protocol in the house. At the end of the day, the kids need to know you're in charge, but at the same time, they need to know you love them, and everything you're doing is in the best interest of building them and of building them to be better men. Period. That's what I do with my kids. I let them know, hey, even when I come down on you, I love you. I'm doing this because you need to know how to do stuff right. Period. And I always just keep it rough with them, man. You got to keep it rough, but you got to let them know they love. Period.
All right, Taz. All right, Taz. The closing words, man. That's from the brother 67260. What's the protocol, Taz? Taz done smoked some of that OG cushion, went to sleep. That's what he done did. Let's go to Moses. We'll come back to him if he come on. Let's go to Moses. Let's close out.
Peace, love, and respect. The same way we could treat each other, man, we got to love our babies, man. Unconditionally, we got to love them. And with love comes that discipline. Sometimes there are some consequences for the bad actions. The better we are as men, the fewer and the farther between we'll have to discipline on those bad actions. So we also have to be aware or cognizant of the fact that they are observing our positive and our peace behaviors. When there's not a lot of dysfunction, how do we act? How do we resolve the tones, the mannerisms that we have? So we can even use these moments as teachable moments to shed that light that we can disagree. And we're going to disagree at some times. But when we do so, we'll do so in a manner of love and respect. Peace, brothers.
Rob, real quick. Come on, Rob. Come on in, Rob, real quick. As a married man and as a father, what's the protocol, Rob?
No doubt, two pieces of wisdom. Every time you discipline, you must teach a value. And then for men dealing with women, right? If, in terms of having to fight a woman, if you fight a woman and you beat her up, you a woman beater. If she get a lucky punch in and knock you out, you got beat up by a girl. So either way it go, it's a lose-lose. That's why I walk away. You know what I'm saying? It's value in walking away.
All right. You there, Taz?
Yeah, what'd you say?
Yeah. Taz, I need some of that OG Kush you got, man.
Yeah, that shit go. I gotta get some more for real.
Yeah, we closing out. We closing out. From Taz's perspective, you got your sons, you got your son and your daughter. They all getting straight A's. What's the proper protocol to the men out there, man? From Taz, as far as being the father and the protocol in the household, real quick as we close out.
Well, I mean, just for like this nigga don't get straight A's though. My daughter do. This nigga get A's and B's and sometimes a C, but still you on the honor roll and trying to get the same type of clout she got. But you know what I'm saying? Like he an honor roll student, but she a scholar. But yeah, man, look, bro, like I don't think we in dire straits like some people do. Like I think we ain't putting enough energy into the part of it where it's motivating. You know what I'm saying? It's too much negativity, and yeah, we see it, but do we have to live it? And I think a lot of it is being manifested and not actually being shown. Like, you know what I'm saying? We got to promote what's good. And I'm from the streets, dog. So I know street niggas promote what's good. You know what I'm saying? But it's what's out there in the streets is usually more enticing. And we just got to make, we got to make having a family more enticing. We got to make working the job more enticing. Like coming home, taking your shoes off, like, man, I hate my job, ain't gonna make the next generation want to work. You know what I mean? So I just, I think it's more about the messaging we putting out, man. Like I think it's all in our control and it's within the messaging.
All right, cool. Brother Richie, bring us home, Rich.
I mean, in this day and age, you're always gonna need to discipline your kids. You're always gonna need to give them strong guidelines on what they need to do. But as the brothers already all said, it needs to be done with love. And as my brother D Red said at the beginning of the conversation or earlier on, you have to get to know your child ultimately, so you can tailor make how you treat them and what you do for them. And one of the things I strive to do is just have as many conversations with my kids as possible. So regardless of the pathway they decide to follow in life, they can never tell me as their dad, they don't know what I think. They don't know what I would do. And that's all I strive to instill in my kids. My opinion, the right ways to try and live, and a clear narrative for them to remember me by as their parent. So when they're out in the world doing their thing, again, they always know what it is and what's really good and what's acceptable, at least in my household, until they're big enough to leave. But whatever you do, do it with love and know you're trying to make better versions of yourself out here.
I want to thank everybody, all the brothers, man, for coming on the panel on a Friday night. Brother Rob, D Red, Brother Moses, my brother Taz, Twin Man, and definitely my brother Richie. Remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves. And I pray to the universal creator most high that these words are enough to inspire you. These words are enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. These words are enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change. I hope this information was enough that when you came here, you as you're leaving here better. You're leaving here edified. A lot of brothers could learn something from here, and you could take it back to your home when you're disciplining your son, or you giving your daughter correction, or you're in confrontation with your wife. I hope that on this panel from these black men speaking, that you learned something. We have to have more conversations like this because it's necessary, because there's a lot of toxic conversations on Black YouTube. And it's time that we combat it with black men having positive conversations on conflict resolutions and how we deal with our households. This is very necessary. So remember, I love all y'all. To the next time, peace.